in 20 seconds. All right, I'm going to start my timer. All right, timer has recorder has started, and we are all going to now hit our play buttons at the same time on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3.
Cul-de-sac is one of my favorite, like, random trivia things that I know from Gilmore Girls.
A French friend told me it's actually wrong how they do it in the episode, but I don't remember which is the correct one, but it's wrong what they say.
So 4 people have minted and claimed it. So I guess Froggy was removed.
I mean, I think the dancing, singing on the tables when Luke was like, "Give me 5 minutes," was the final straw there.
But is the idea that now Lane has taken his place?
Yeah, Lane this is her job. I feel like for the rest of the series.
Wow. Okay. Didn't know that.
She waited on you in, like, the Wink Winkers. You don't remember her working at the diner?
That was 15 years ago.
Fair enough.
Do you know anybody who says exactly? Have you ever spoken to somebody that they don't say exactly, they say exactly? I feel like I've known several people in my life that say exactly.
I don't know that particular one I've heard anybody use, but interesting. There's like other, I can't think of any right now, but there are other words that are similar to that where, like, yeah.
I knew somebody who I did a play with for many months, and the character says exactly in the play, and every single night the actor said exactly in the scene with us, and every night it just drove me crazy. But of course I didn't want to say anything because I felt like that would just be sort of overstepping my bounds.
Those cups are empty.
Oh no. This guy. high, and I'm high around this little thing. What else has this actor done?
I would have to IMDb that. I don't know that I recognize him from anything else.
Isn't that the guy from Kids in the Hall?
Oh, is that?
Yeah, that's Kids in the Hall.
That is the guy from Kids in the Hall. That's right.
It's Tobin.
Now that you say it, I can't stop thinking about Kids in the Hall.
I just love that he doesn't hide his true nature from Michelle, from everyone else, but not Michelle.
I don't get the hate for marzipan. It's such a thing in Germany. You grow up with it and you just eat it as a kid all the time.
I love marzipan, but I can see people not liking it. It has a really interesting texture. You know, it has a very particular kind of grainy, kind of sandy texture.
I love it.
It's just almonds and sugar, nothing else. So if you like almonds and sugar, you should like it. Oh, and sometimes it's
crunchy.
Sometimes it's adding rose water, and rose water sometimes tastes for people like soap, so that might be the problem.
Is it crunchy?
No, it's really smooth. It's it's really smooth texture. You can buy it in America too, I know.
I mean, it's ground up. It's ground up almonds. So I would say that at least the marzipan that I've had, you can sort of taste that that the almonds are ground up. So it has a little bit, to me, a little bit of a sandy texture.
Oh yeah, okay. But you can easily make it yourself if you want to try it. Just find a recipe with almonds and sugar and sometimes rose water and ready.
FYI, they're all gone.
Congratulations to the 10. I tried a transcript, but it was obviously wrong.
I'm with you on that, Claudia. I tried, gave up.
I think I hit the most funniest 4 words and it doesn't make sense, but it was fun.
John, since all of them are gone, can you tell us what it was? Because I've been sitting here I've been going through every single episode.
Yeah, the 4 words, the 4 words in the order in which he said them across the 4 seasons were excuse, attention, one, bienvenido. However, that's not the order in which they go in. For that,
I had all of them right.
yeah,
I just didn't have the order.
For that, you need clue number 6, which says the last thing you would want from this password is an excuse to get it right. So you need excuse to be in the last position, which would suggest that it's in reverse order.
That was literally the only clue I knew all week. I knew that was going to be the last word, but that was it.
Yeah, I put
Birds,
I never figured that out.
And of course, they all have to be capitalized because they're all the first word of a sentence.
Oh, that's one of the mistakes I've made.
I hate Paris cheating on Jamie. That's such a not good storyline for me.
Yeah, but I was actually chatting with Babsy about it last night. Just the professor and the student cliche is just, it comes from somewhere because it is just so common.
I have no problem with the student and professor thing, but cheating on Jamie, she could have stopped seeing Jamie, then doing the professor student thing, which actually fits to Paris, I think.
That's funny.
The farmer, like after all these years, he doesn't know Jeff's name.
But in German, you would refer to a baby as it, right? So is that the same for French?
No, we have genders in French, but the deferred is he. Like if you have a general, it's usually he.
Yeah, well, in German there are genders as well, but for baby it would be neutral because babies don't get the gender, right? It's an it.
Yeah, that's correct for Germany. But I don't think French has a neutral.
Yeah, that's what I was basically asking.
No,
So
it doesn't.
it just helps me with whether or not, just helps me with the humor a little bit to know that he really is truly calling it an it.
He's more concerned about wrinkling his shirt.
This is so funny. This is Michelle's best episode so far.
Does that mean they haven't asked Tobin to come to the Dragonfly?
I was just wondering the same thing.
This head is so weird.
Definitely intimate.
I'm a big Glenn fan. He's so great. His character is perfect.
Jason's apartment, such a good aspect of this character.
She has different rules for movie watching with this guy than she did with Luke.
Do you think that Lorelai likes this style?
I think she likes fighting her mother.
Yeah, I think it's about spiting her mother originally.
I also think that, oh, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I think she likes it, but doesn't want to say she likes it. So, yeah.
I don't think that she hates the fact that he fawns over her. I think that's what she likes, is that he, like, went above and beyond to try to get a date with her and fawns over her. I think that's what draws her in.
Well, I've always said that despite her having other boyfriends, like two people that if she wasn't with Luke or if there wasn't a vibe with Luke or whatever, then like I would say either Alex, the coffee guy, or Jason.
I think we should talk about it later, because I have a lot to say about it too. And I want to say Cyrus is such a great dog character in Gilmore, like such a weird little thing.
This is hilarious.
I love his dog command.
Poor dog.
I think he's trained like any other dog, just with different commands. So
By the way, she just said thank you to his kiss.
Yeah, kind of like.
Because that's what Rory did when
Yeah, exactly.
Dean kissed. That's very interesting.
To the I love you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Did you see him have him turn around, the dog?
Yes.
Oh, she's not wearing a hat. She can call him things like that?
one of my favorite storylines. Like, what? Strawberry ice with strawberries in it?
I want that ice cream.
perfect that he's the cartoon edit, like the cartoonist of the paper, Glenn. That was ADR. That was the most like dubbed thing I've heard her say. Likely because of the sheets. The sheets probably caused noise that the sound editors couldn't use.
This is important.
Oh, oh my God.
Weird. This is the thing I hate about him the most.
I mean, it's OCD for real.
Wait, did they already did they have sex?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh my God. Oh my goodness.
Boo, Scooper.
You need the explanation to understand it. As a therapist, I say, yeah, I totally get it.
All right, we'll talk about this afterwards, Claudia.
If he had told her beforehand, it would have been better. But it seems that he just has like OCD about his face, which makes sense for me.
No. I actually get it more. It just was a huge surprise. Like it was.
I know, it's just like before when she gets to the house, say, hey, I don't like people sleeping in my bed. It would have been.
I get it. I don't think it's ideal, but I understand. I understand that kind of OCD. But it's just freaking. I did not expect that. That's crazy.
No, not at all. It's crazy.
Not about OCD. It's not about OCD. That's important.
His guest room's a hotel room.
Stuck with whose taste, I wonder.
Yeah. So I mean, either the arc here is, can Digger get over all of this? Right? Are we rooting for him to get over all of this, which is possible, or does this just sort of doom this relationship? Like, are we already looking at this and being like, this is not possible?
I'm not Digger.
About that. Please wait after the episode.
They seem to have a lot of obstacles so early on into their dating.
I say it's no big obstacle at all.
I can't hear you at all, Claudia.
Oh, sorry. Can you hear me now?
Oh yeah, that's a little better.
It's a little bit better, but it's still a little softer than normal.
Yeah, I have a new phone, so
now it's perfect. Now it's perfect.
Yeah, now you're clear.
Yeah, I probably had my finger on the microphone because I have a new phone, so thanks for letting me know. I said it's no big obstacle at all, and I want to talk to her about it more later. It's actually, I'm really jealous about Lorelai now at my age.
Yeah, I'll also say, like, you know,
Oh, it's
Babsy and I had massive obstacles at the beginning of our relationship, and you know, we just worked through them. But we can talk about that afterwards. I was just more surprised by the whole thing. I mean, that was just it was a little good. That was a good moment, fun moment.
Their obstacles seem to be like interest and intimacy obstacles, though.
Yeah, fair. That's fair. My big question is, do you all think that Lorelai likes that whole style, that whole like world? That's something I want to talk about afterwards, because it doesn't resemble at all her own home.
Paris. She's hilarious.
She's trying to wake Rory up.
Yeah, I know.
Paris, talk in the morning. Let people sleep.
I always wonder if Rory is more annoyed about her dating a professor or her cheating on Jamie.
I think she doesn't like
it's a little
her
bit of both.
dating a professor. I don't think it's the cheating on Jamie thing.
I think it's a little bit of both.
Or the guy being her grandfather's friend. It seems like she likes the apartment, John.
Yeah, it's just not any, that doesn't resemble the world she's created for herself in her own apartment. She could do something similar.
I always felt like Lorelai's house was like part eclectic, but also like there were aspects of just like financially where she was at the time, like, you know, secondhand things. And, you know, she mentions like her couch that she had to pay off over however many weeks. You don't know if she had unlimited resources, if she wouldn't have chosen something more like this.
Like this is a little bit more aspirational for her.
I think
I
Lorelai
think she loves
doesn't-
luxury, but she just can't afford it. So she
I
just
think-
appreciates what she has.
Lorelai doesn't compromise at all for any man, as you saw with Meg. So I think she probably appreciates him having his own style too.
Now she wants to not tell his partner who he's dating. She might like him.
Yes, if it would be just rebellion, she would have told the parents immediately.
I love that there's no discussion about his parents or his family.
Well, I think that goes without saying. Like, I don't think she's necessarily just saying her parents, even though that's who they're talking about. Like, he probably gets that since, you know, his dad is Floyd from, you know, they've said that when he wanted to be partners with Richard, he wanted to make his dad upset, you know. But I don't know.
They're on display.
They also didn't wait for Lorelai to start eating, which is so unusual.
This scene just annoys me. Like,
Why don't they
it's
just
just
That's a funny line.
this whole scene is hilarious.
We have a primate sanctuary that's close to our house that the monkeys feed on.
Richard has to go and correct the information. I love it. He leaves dinner.
Oh. Oh.
This is what happens when she doesn't want him to tell them.
Yep. Man, the conflict in this season is just so good.
Richard and Emily seem to be like breezing past that whole thing from last episode, though.
Yeah, I guess that's true. Yeah.
It's probably a week or two later.
Emily's hair is real big.
Lots of teasing going on there. I noticed that last episode too.
I mean, that's Dirty Dancing big.
So we put baby in a corner.
That's 80 yards.
I wonder if they really were like filming while they were building the set of the inn so that they could make it look like the construction stuff.
Probably not. I mean, so much of a set is really just a bunch of things that they just like put together in there, not necessarily like, construct a full inn.
That's kind of a bummer to think about. I like to think of it the other way.
It's like Mrs. Kim's, you know, I mean, like the antique store is like, sometimes if you would go in there, it'd be like empty. But like maybe not completely empty, but like, you know, things like walls wouldn't be there. The stairway would be moved.
Like she had a big sale and there wasn't anything in there, or?
No, probably all the antiques they would kind of keep in there a lot, unless they needed to use the space for something else, and they might have moved it. But I mean, it's all movable, you know. I mean,
I suppose for filming.
Lorelai is not fair to him, like being like this. It's her own fault.
I have to say, for Digger, at least he's being honest with her right now.
Lorelai knows how it works. It shouldn't be a surprise for her. She grew up in that life, in that society.
This is her own fault for wanting to be so secretive from her parents. It's part of the problem with the relationship with her parents, that she's not willing to let them know about her life.
I'm totally with him here. Completely and totally with him here.
Lorelai is so bad in relationships. Really, really, really bad.
Where did he find Crystal?
Babe can't really talk.
The little pig? No, he can
Yeah,
talk.
that was supposed to be funny.
Oh wait, he can't talk?
I don't know. The way he said that, she thinks Babe can talk. Oh. And I just wanted to use my blondness as I don't know. Never mind.
I got your joke, Shauna. It was funny.
It seems so strange that she wouldn't know that Asher was the professor. Like when you sign up for courses in college, you see which professor you're choosing when you pick that course.
Yeah, but there are occasions where you pick a course, you think that the professor's there, and they've swapped it at the last minute. That happened to me.
Me too.
Which stinks because sometimes you wanted that particular professor, but then you can just leave the class and go to another one.
Well,
Man, oh man, that was a drama-filled episode. That was great. Oh, hold on. Sorry, my next episode is starting. Let me just rewind it. Oh wait, are you kidding me? Is there another previously on this one too?
There is
Oh
definitely
God,
a
you gotta be
previously
kidding
on
me,
the
man.
DVD.
Oh my goodness. No, it's on Netflix as well. There's a previously on. All right, first things first. Let's get the couch open. I want to find out who got cat scratch.
It definitely was not me.
I got one.
Nikki,
I was
is that
so
you?
close. Now I'm
Yeah,
pouting. I got number 5.
I got number 9.
Who said number
I
9?
got nothing.
Me, Jessica.
Oh, Jessica, you got number 9. For whatever
Mine
reason,
was hinting, but I was a little too late.
yeah,
okay. So
You made my morning very stressful, John. I'm frazzled.
yeah,
Yeah,
no, I'm rethinking.
Same.
I'm rethinking these ultra low editions. I'm rethinking them in a lot of ways, but definitely, when I drop them and the amount of time that we have beforehand, because the beginning of this episode was just like dead silent. You could tell that Sarah got one. Well, both Sarahs got one, but you could tell Sarah got one because she was the only one talking to me during the first 10 minutes of the episode.
Yeah, of course. I think I only saw the last 20 minutes of the episode. I actually turned the episode or the clubhouse down so that I could focus on trying to find it.
And I forgot to press play on the episode, and I'm like, oh my God, and then I'm sitting there and I'm fast forwarding and I'm not too fast, too far.
All right, so look, whether you thought the clues were helpful or not, here's how it goes. There were 4 passphrases. There are 4 words in the passphrase. That was the first clue. The second, of course, being that, well, I don't know if that's the second. I won't go in order, but they had to be capitalized, all of them. They weren't Amy's words, they were Kirk's words. They were the first words, not the last words. And if you used all of that, you could have figured out that it was the first word that Kirk utters in each of the 4 seasons, because there are 4 words and we've had 4 seasons, so that would make sense, right? So then you're off to try and find those 4 words, except you may wonder, did I mean Mick? Did I mean Swan Guy? Do I mean Kirk? You'll have a variety of options to help you, right? Like you'll maybe put those words down as well. And then you'll get to the last 2 clues. One of them says that you have to put an excuse in the last position. And one of those words is excuse, because the 4 words are in the order that they actually were said, is excuse, attention, 1, bienvenido, right? Those were the 4 words as they were spoken season to season. First season was excuse, the second season was attention, the third season was 1, and the fourth season was bienvenido. However, that's not the order, and clue 6 tells you want to have an excuse be the last thing, which means or suggests that it's in reverse order, not in 1, 2, 3, 4, but 4, 3, 2, 1. And then the last one just like helps you verify that you're correct, because if you're correct, you found those 4 words in episode 5, episode 2, episode 1, and episode 1 of those seasons in order, which brings you to the number 9.
So John, how psyched were you when you realized that they added up to 9 and a cat has 9 lives? Like that.
Oh, pretty awesome. It was pretty awesome because I actually came up with that last clue last night, right before I said it.
That tequila, I'm telling you.
That's a what?
I said that tequila, I'm telling you.
Yeah. So let's talk about this episode, but you know what? If you don't mind, I need to go to the bathroom. I need to, I drank coffee, so I need to
do it.
But please speak, talk amongst yourselves for a second.
I'm
I
going to
just
talk
wanna
amongst
say,
myself.
I think
Okay.
the whole professor and student thing is a cliche, but it actually does happen in real life. It happens so often in real life.
Yeah.
So, say it again.
Oh, I just said so often.
But what bugs me is the age difference, and it's not about ageism. It's about the fact that that guy could be her grandfather. Like, ew.
And she's under the age of 25.
Well, I remember when I first saw it, when it first, aired, I thought it was illegal. Like, I was like, what? And then I was really shocked to find out that it's actually not illegal, because I thought, like, professors, it's like a power position, so they wouldn't be allowed to do that. But it
Depends on the school. A lot of them will forbid you to do it, and he could have lost his job.
Well, no,
I don't
all
know.
the
For
schools
me-
will forbid you if the student is in your class. If they're just a general student and they haven't been in your class, then you're not in that authority position over
Yeah,
their
that's
marks
my
or whatever.
understanding. Yeah, that's what I always thought, is it depends on if they're in your class or not.
All right,
that's-
I'm back. Are we talking about, so we want to go in reverse order and we want to talk about Asher, or do we want to talk about Jason?
Asher.
I was just feeling.
We're on the
bad when we
subject
were
of
gone to talk
Asher.
about
Oh,
it.
okay, all right. Yeah, because I got lots. Oh, I think we definitely will have lots to talk about with Digger. Which, I'm loving that character. Again, I don't like the actual, like, I don't like Digger, and I'm not into Digger and Lorelai, but this character is becoming so much more fascinating to me with each episode. Yeah, but that doesn't mean that I want them to be together. I'm not Team Digger by any stretch of the imagination. But he is a really, really fun on. He's really fun on this show. Like at this point, he's starting to really grow on me as just like an interesting, very weird character.
I feel like we're not supposed to like him, because I'm not a Digger fan either. And I didn't hate that he was on the show. I just really, I'm not into his character as somebody for a long-term relationship with Lorelai at all. I just find him, but
Yeah, I'm confused. Are we talking now about Asher or about Digger?
Let's talk about Asher first, and then we'll go back to Digger.
Okay.
We'll go back to Digger. So
I
so
think-
what were we talking about with Asher? While I was in the bathroom.
Whether or not it was illegal for him to date a student in the school.
No, that's legal. That's legal. She's over 18.
It's legal, but a lot of schools will actually forbid it in their own bylaws, but the student has to be in their class, not just like a general student.
Interesting.
But they're both adults, so I think 20 years ago it was probably a scandal to have such a big age gap, but these days, should we be more tolerant, saying it's their life, they're both adults, they can do whatever they want. Yeah.
There was one professor at my school who was considerably older than the student that he was dating, his student that he was dating, like seriously dating, like so much so that everybody knew that they were a couple, and another professor that I know dated a variety of other students. I mean, we all thought that it was like, whoa, you know, but
I just want to jump in to say that my father was my mother's professor in college, and that's how they met. And he was kind of like not quite fully divorced yet at the time, and 13 years older than her. So
there you go.
Yeah,
there
it
you
does
go.
happen. He wasn't like a full professor; he was like an adjunct. So yeah.
But like, if we were to add Paris to Asher's life and 20 years to Paris's life, like if they were gonna like go long term with this relationship, like they would be at very, very different stages of their life 20 years from now.
Oh yeah, for sure. And by the way, the professor that I'm talking about is much more like Asher and Paris. Like, you know, that relationship was very much like that. You know, that separated.
My sister-in-law, she was in her young 20s when she met her husband, and he was already a father, you know, and had been married. Like she was friends with them, and then when he got divorced, she let him like crash on her couch and stuff, but like just, you know, not like intimately, just friends, you know. And then he's like close to her parents' age more than he is. Like she's only 10 years older than me, and he's close to her parents' age than he is to her. So
I think sometimes we forget that if we don't like someone being much older than us, it's different for other people. And I think if two people love each other, we should just be okay. I'm not okay with the being still with Jamie thing, because I'm not okay with being with Jamie and flirting with Asher. That's not okay for me.
I feel bad for Jamie. I really do, because I feel like Paris, like ever since Paris didn't get accepted to Harvard, she just hasn't loved Jamie as much as she did before that news. Like I feel, this is of course opinion, just feeling based, but from what I've seen, every single time I see this storyline play out, it just feels like she kind of resents Jamie for not getting into Harvard.
Jamie's also her first boyfriend. So you got to remember, or he appears to be her first boyfriend. So for her, it's like Rory's Dean kind of thing. Maybe it's because it was the first boyfriend, she had not really experienced anything else, and now she's showing her oats. And I'm not saying she should cheat on Jamie, but I'm just saying maybe that's part of the thing, not just that she didn't get into Harvard.
Well, see, guys, here's the thing: is that Jamie's going to be so affected by this, he's going to quit Princeton and he's going to move to Port Charles, New York, and become a mob guy.
What?
Wait, what?
Are you talking about what I think you're talking about?
Brandon Barash is a big giant star of General Hospital.
Yeah.
Oh, I see. The reason why I don't feel bad for Jamie is just, I think just narratively as an audience member, I don't know that guy. Like I just have no relationship to him at all. And so I mean, it's not like, you know, I mean, obviously in like, you know, in the academic sense, I guess you could say, I should feel bad because somebody is cheating on, and then there's somebody getting hurt, right? But I don't have a relationship to that character at all. So it's more just like, yes, you shouldn't do that, Paris. That's not good to do to somebody that you're with, right? But I don't have feelings for, like, I don't have personal feelings about it because I don't have any relationship or feel anything for the Jamie character at all.
You know what? I have no room to talk because that's how I feel about a group of people who will appear on this.
Okay. But I will say though that, like, I agree with you, Claudia. I don't think that it should be a big deal to date somebody that's much older than you. My mother and father had a big age difference, and you know, I mean, I just think of, like, love is love. But I do think that I do think that Rory has a problem with that more so than the Jamie thing. Partly because I think also Rory does not have much of a relationship with Jamie, so she can only really feel bad for Jamie from a little bit more of this like intellectual standpoint rather than like deeply hurt by the idea. So then I see her so repulsed by the whole thing, and it strikes me more like she is repulsed by Paris and this older teacher that she's with, and that actually makes me a little more disappointed in Rory.
It's her grandfather's friend, so she's thinking of it as Paris dating her grandfather's friend, not just that he's an older teacher. It's somebody that her grandpa knows, and so she's looking at it from a different viewpoint in that way as well. And I can see where she's a little bit put off by that, because it would be very weird. She can't imagine dating one of her grandfather's friends.
Yeah, I guess,
Also,
but she doesn't really know that guy. It's not like she knows him.
Relationship start like this relationship started by Richard introducing Asher to Paris.
Yeah,
So,
well,
that's
the other
a
part.
weird connection for Rory.
Well, and it makes sense for Paris too, because Paris, her whole life has been with the nanny and been around adults. So I think more naturally she'd be inclined to be with an older man, because those are the people she's always been around, and Rory just doesn't quite get that because her mom's so young.
I think one of the things that makes me so uncomfortable about the relationship isn't the age, but because, you know, she wanted to get an interview with Asher Fleming, and she said like, "Oh, I'm working on it," and I never completely understood if, you know, Asher Fleming was maybe using, you know, doing this to give her the interview, or it just felt like the power differential and a lot of the unknowns just made it feel very icky to me.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely something to be discussed here about the use of power. You know, I mean, Asher understands his position with these 18-year-old girls, you know, and so he understands the power he wields, and there is something about that. I'm curious what your thoughts on this are, Claudia. There is something. I just mentioned Claudia just because Claudia was, you know, sort of in defense of the idea that you know, an older man and a younger woman is fine. But you know, I think that sort of broadly that should hold true. But in this case, there's also another dynamic that's playing here, which is somebody in a much higher position of power than the other.
I mean, I think that.
Can I answer, John? Sorry for interrupting. I think there's often a power. Someone has more power than the other one, and it's not just being a professor. I think if one is much older than your partner, you always have a lot more knowledge about life, more experience, and it's always, I think, in such an age difference, it's always more power for the older one. And
yeah, I know, but we're talking specifically here the idea of
Yeah.
power in an institution, right? Like he has the power to make or break a person's academic standing.
I think I don't know a lot about American university system to know how much it influences it. Some here say it's against the rules, some say it's not. So I think if it's against the rules, it's a big thing. If it's not against the rules, I don't know. In Germany, it would be really weird to have a professor and a student going on, and I know of no one ever I met in my life. It's probably happened too, but it's not such a cliche thing that in America, as far as I know. Weirdly, I don't know why.
All right, sorry, there was somebody else who wanted to speak. And
I want to say something.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that of course is the thing about the relation of power, and because of the institution and the age difference and all. But I mean, I understand that, we all do. But also, I see that even though the picture represents that, it is not necessarily what's going on. So I don't know. I think it's more funny just to see Paris' character, like being all like excited and thrilled about smelling like tobacco. And also, I think Jamie will be fine. I mean, he will get over it. So I don't care about him. So yeah, that's what I meant. Like, I mean, like John said, I don't know him, and also he will be fine. We are all fine when something like this happens to us. And I'm more excited about Paris being excited about this guy. And I don't know. That's it.
Harvest.
I definitely agree. Oh yes, by the way, anyone who has RSVP'd for this event, harvesting is open, so your kernels should have sprouted by now. I agree. I actually really thought that moment there when she came in at the end and was sitting on her bed glowing and wanting to talk about it with Rory was so sweet, and it actually really bugged me that Rory was so cold to her personally.
Shelley, do you want to go first and I'll go after you?
Sure. I don't have a problem with people being older, but I do think that there's kind of an ick factor where somebody that much older goes after somebody who just, there's not a magic number when you just turn 18. I mean, that's still a child. I have a 16-year-old, and I feel like if some 60-some-year-old woman was after my 18-year-old, I feel like I would be, I don't know. I just think that's really a big age gap. And it's just kind of icky, but I have a friend who's, her husband's 20 years older than her, and they just had their first child, and but I don't know, she was, there was less of an age gap. I just that doesn't, the age thing, but what's the thing about turning 18? What makes you grown up enough to be with somebody like that? I don't know. It's just to me it's a little bit strange, but it's not from like Paris's perspective. I can see that she's enamored with him. He seems really attractive and that way, but I feel like the other way, being the older person going after the younger person, to me is a little bit icky. I couldn't imagine even at 40 going after an 18-year-old.
Yeah, I mean, but that's sort of what I was getting at with where it's like, it's not so much the power thing, because I agree with you, Claudia. Like there's power differential in every relationship, but this one is very specific because it is a professor who can really truly like influence one of his students' lives, like far into the future, actually, if you think about it. And it's with the most vulnerable of those, right? It's the first class. It's this like group that just came in from high school. That is, I think, what you're getting at, Shelley, as like there isn't really a line exactly like when, like, oh, all of a sudden these girls are just ready for that, right? Like there isn't really a line, but and so you can't really say like it's possible that somebody wouldn't be ready for that until they're well into their 20s. But I do think that we can somewhat delineate something here, which is the power that this man yields over this very vulnerable, the most vulnerable within that school. The fact that he can truly influence their lives in a big way is just that to me is the part that is just a little weird. Not a little weird, that's a lot weird.
But she's not in his class, so he cannot do a lot with her at all.
And
I don't know if I'd agree with that.
I
agree, John.
So he has like influence at the university. Right.
Majorly. I mean, it's a huge university, important university. He's an important professor there for sure. There's no question he has influence.
Something about 25. Do you want to elaborate that, Carl?
Carl?
Hey, you.
Sorry. I was trying to get to the mute button, and a whole bunch of time for that.
25.
Yeah. So basically, I say 25 because that's when a human brain fully develops. Like that's when your brain is fully developed. So like what Shelley said, I still feel like my baby is my baby at the age of 18. Yeah, because they still have a child brain. Like literally, I'm not going to lie, off of personal experience, I wholeheartedly felt my brain develop. Like I felt like brain fully developed at like 6 months after I turned 25. And now I feel so much more as an adult, after turning 25 than I was beforehand. I did not feel an adult. I was still kind of doing the same old mistakes. And I kind of noticed that with other people. Now, this has also been scientifically proven that like when you turn 25, that's when your brain is fully developed. So that's why nowadays when people see online, people upset about Leonardo DiCaprio dating women up until the age of 25 and then he dumps them. It's kind of like, okay, what's going on here? Is this some type of grooming thing? What's going on? So, and it's because we're all finding out that like, the age of 25. So that's
Leonardo DiCaprio is gonna just love listening to this particular.
Look, I would probably get blacklisted.
I'm totally kidding.
But no, yeah, like just saying that, of course, this is still kind of like new stuff that like the general public is finding out about, like the age of 25. So, there's still some studies to be found out about, but yeah, it's been proven that like your brain fully develops when you're 25.
Yeah, he's exactly he's exactly right. I'm a therapist, and I'm sure Claudia can speak to this as well. But yeah, it's your prefrontal cortex, which is responsible for that kind of higher level of functioning and thinking about risks and consequences and more future thinking. That's just not. It kind of keeps those impulses in control. And so, yeah, that's not fully developed until you're 25.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I was gonna make mention that
The age of Paris is an age where you just experiment. I don't expect her to marry that man, but I think in her age you experiment with relationships, you experiment with other people. So I think it's okay if she doesn't marry him like in the next episode or something.
I just wanted to say that I did casework, and I was really surprised because when I took one of the clients to get some assistance, like general assistance, one of the questions in the form is like, if you're 25 or under 25, your parents are still responsible for you, even if you don't live with them. And it's like, and I thought it was just a Maine state law, but it's actually quite common in other states. And it's not really like a well-known law. But so they couldn't get general assistance help for like their own apartment because it is just assumed that their parents will pay it until they're 25, which I thought was really strange.
We're at 9:30, by the way. We started a little late, not a little late. We started a lot late. Let's continue through till 9:45, which, by the way, is the cutoff for kernel collecting for this particular event. And because I really want to get into talking about Digger, I just have lots of thoughts there. This Asher thing's not going away. It's clear that this is a storyline that we're going to become somewhat invested in. I love it just because I just love that it will spur a lot of conversation. But I want to shift over to Digger, and I want to just start by saying,
Ew.
Wait, no, hold on. I want to start by saying, when I first started, I'd say, having women over to my house to spend the night, while I never did that because I didn't have a guest room, but I never did that. I never slept. I couldn't sleep. I couldn't. I would stay up all night just looking at the ceiling because I just did not know how to sleep with another person in bed with me. It just was. It's not like I was thinking about anything. It's just I was like uncomfortable in my skin being in a bed with somebody else.
You never shared a bed with a sibling.
I never shared a bed with a sibling. My sister and I, we did have the same room for for our when we were really young, but we had bunk beds. So I always had my own bed, and then she got her own room when she turned 10 or so, and I always had my own bed, and then went to college and had my own bed, and I always had my own bed, and so when I started to first share my bed, I really could not fall asleep, and so that was sort of the conundrum, right? And so I understand I
Me
understand
too.
his
Have you-
state. I understand his state of mind. Like, I think the whole thing is extremely weird because of, you know, it has a lot of other layers to it. But I understand the state of mind, which I think is probably what Claudia was getting at when she's like, I think it's totally normal. But
Yeah.
I don't think it's totally normal. I'm very glad that now I can sleep soundly in bed with somebody else.
John, I
John,
can
did
say
you ever have
something for that.
sleepovers?
As I watched the episode the first time, which was in my early 20s, I was like a lot of others, like, what he's doing, that's so weird, because I'm used to sleep with my husband we are together for 26 years now. And then later in years, I learned that most people are not sleeping good with a partner in bed. It's actually a lot of science a lot of scientists found out that you're sleeping much better without another person. And the queen is actually sleeping her whole life in a separate room. And now I have a husband who makes a lot of noises while sleeping. And I think, yeah, it's really something we should think about. We always say, oh, it's such a bad relationship if people don't sleep in the same room, but more and more people do it. And I know I treat a lot of patients with sleeping problems, and I often think just sleep in a separate room and all your problems are going away. So I think a lot different now than I did 15 years ago. And I appreciate him doing such a great room for her to feel comfortable about. And she didn't say she want to stay. It was a last minute decision, so he had no chance to tell her earlier about his sleeping problems. So that's my opinion.
But I will say, though, that room was not for her to be more comfortable. That room's a room he has in his house as a guest room for when guests come over. Maybe that includes women that he has over to spend the night. But really, that's all about his comfort. Like, that's the only reason. If he was cool with it and he wasn't just, you know, not comfortable, like if he was more comfortable with the idea of her being in bed with him, she would be in bed. He wouldn't want her to go into the guest room.
No,
so that's to me all about her.
Yeah,
about
I meant he knows he cannot sleep with another person, so he tries to make his guest room comfortable for whoever stays at his house. It might be his mother, a friend, or a partner. It doesn't matter. Of course, it's about him, because if he cannot sleep at all, he needs to work at the next day. So of course he needs to do something.
Right.
Yeah.
Who was next? Because I have a hard time following the room. But who's been flashing for a while? Anybody know?
Mandy.
Mandy, go ahead. And then I saw Tiffany flashing. I see Zachary flashing. I see Sherry flashing.
Yeah, it's not that uncommon for people to get better sleep not sleeping in the same bed. My grandparents didn't sleep in the same bed because my grandpa snored. And there have been times my husband and I have gone to hotels and they've had two beds, and we've chosen to sleep in separate beds because we just sleep better. But my question would be, John, that if you did have a guest room back then, would you have made your guest sleep in the guest room even though you knew that it would affect your sleep?
Nope. I would have just sat there staring at the ceiling. I would have felt very embarrassed to do something like that.
I'm with you on that.
Goes back to not ordering a taco. Same scenario.
Right. I would have ordered the taco. But you know, it seems to be that's what some folks really like about Digger, that they're like, you know what? He doesn't just stay there and stare at the ceiling. He's like, no, this is who I am, and I'm gonna accept it. And like, you know, I hope that you'll accept it too. If you do, then that means you accept me for me, and that's great, because I don't want to be with somebody who doesn't ultimately accept me for me, you know? And I think that there's something fair about that. Let's do Tiffany, then we'll do Zachary, then we'll do Sherry.
That's what I was going to say, John, is that, you know, I think we have to appreciate that he's upfront, honest right from the beginning, and that he is saying, you know, this is who I am, and I know it might be a little weird, and I hope that you're okay with it, but, you know, it's not, whatever. Like, this is me. And I like that about him. And the same thing you said about how you're not really liking the character, but you find his scenes interesting. That's how I feel. Like, eventually want her to end up with Luke. Like that's like my main goal for her. But I really enjoy the scenes that and what he brings to the show. So
Yeah, for sure. Zachary.
My thoughts on Digger were not specific to like the sleeping arrangement scene, but just in general. If I could, like, how many people are fans of Digger? Yes or no?
No.
Yes.
Flash
Yes.
your mic. Flash your mics if you're a Digger fan.
I'm impartial.
Okay, and if you're not, flash your mic, I guess. Okay, so if you either like him or hate him, kudos to Chris, because I mean he's really doing that role, and that's just, you know, to the writing and the overall production as well as the actor. So yeah, I hate him, but I think that's just because, you know, Chris is playing that role really well, and you know
I agree with
that was
that.
just general thought.
Oh yeah, he's fantastic in the role. He plays that character so well. I don't know the actor personally or any of his other work, so I don't know if like he's bringing a lot of himself to that character, but yeah, I mean it's like absolutely spot on.
And you agreed with him when it came time to talk about her parents.
Totally agree, because you know, I mean, like I also like was just I thought that was just unreasonable for Lorelai. I mean, you know, I get it. I guess she has this problem with her parents, and I get that like her mother, you know, can make it hard for her and whatnot. But like, you know, then you need to not be dating him. You know, like it just, you know, or just like a part of me is almost kind of like, well, then just stop dating. You know, because that's always going to be the case, and you got to get over it at some point. And I think that's, you know, I just feel like everything that he was saying there is completely true. You know, you want me to take you to these things, then you got to be cool with me sharing that we're together. And if you're not cool with me sharing that we're together, then I have to take somebody else, because that's a part of these functions. That's the world that I live in. You know, in fact, if I didn't take someone, they might actually start wondering what's going on. Like, am I seeing somebody who I don't want to share with the rest of the world, and who could that be? You know, so I just think that he was right there. But more than anything, I just felt like this is the big dramatic dilemma for the Lorelai character, is that like she's just the reason why this is so hard for her is really coming from her.
That's what. And that tracks with like who he is, doesn't that? Because like he wants to be honest. He's upfront and honest with Lorelai right from the beginning. So I think it tracks with he would rather be honest, and I think that looks good for him.
That's
totally.
The I was going to be making is that the only thing is that I agree. He absolutely should have taken somebody to these events, but they were talking that morning in his kitchen, and he could have easily said, look, if you don't want to tell your parents, there are these events I'm going to have to show up to, and I'm going to have to bring someone. So at least because she felt blindsided finding out that he was taking people out.
That's fair. That's true. He could have done that.
Makes you kind of wonder why he got a woman named Crystal on speed dial too, to be able to take to an event so quickly.
By the way, my ex-girlfriend's name was Crystal, spelled Christal, not CY, which, you know, I think that was the joke that they were trying to make, is that you would associate with, you know, somebody named Crystal with a Y as being.
I did.
Yeah.
I think he had her on speed dial because he needed her a lot in the past, because he had no girlfriend. So he had probably several women who said, yeah, okay, I go with you. Perhaps women, his parents said, yeah, just take her. So I'm not curious.
But also take a look at, like, you know, his lifestyle and what he can do. He can get into any restaurant he wants. He can, like, you know, I mean, there are a lot of women that actually would really enjoy that, like being with somebody who can sort of have, I mean, to be honest with you, Lorelai strikes me as the type of person who is enamored by that lifestyle. She was obviously like, whoa, you got into that restaurant. I mean, like, you know, the fact that that would be a criteria for dating this guy who up until that moment seemed absolutely insufferable, says something for the power of being able to have those kind of connections. And I imagine that his phone probably has a bunch of women that he's dated in the past that like that about him.
Isn't that sort of the point, though? Because Lorelai didn't want to go out with Digger to begin with, and he wore her down. And now, we're finding out these little quirks that she's not liking about him, and he's not being very sensitive to her needs either. The whole point was she didn't want to go out with him to begin with, but sort of, relented, and now is, paying the price for that in a way.
Would you classify that though as, or characterize that as wearing her down? Because it seemed like once he said the magic thing, she was ready to go, right? Like once he was like, I've got reservations at this restaurant, and she's like, oh, okay, interesting. That like wears down sort of suggests like, oh, will this guy not? Okay, you know what? If I just go out with the guy, maybe he'll stop.
But that is sort of what he said on her answering machine too, and he left that message for her in the last episode.
Right. Yeah.
Also, when he said, sorry.
No, you go ahead.
Okay. Also,
Go ahead,
when you
Tony.
said your mother would hate if we were dating, that kind of like sparked.
Right, exactly. Which
Yeah.
also I don't think is wearing down. That's also like interesting. Okay, you know what? Maybe you have something here. I just think that there's a difference between wearing somebody down where they're like, okay, already, I'll do it. You just shut up, versus he's trying to find it, and he did. He hit a couple buttons. Like, your parents would hate it, and I have this lifestyle that you obviously aspire to, and that was enough. She was like, okay, cool, I'm down.
I think wearing her down is a poor choice of words, but I understand the sentiment behind it. I don't think he wore her down necessarily. I think that he showed that he has a refusal to hear the word no. Like, he feels entitled. Like, if I just keep pestering her enough, she'll go out with me because people don't tell me no.
That's a good point.
For me, Lorelai knows what she wants, and she always says what she wants. She doesn't do anything she doesn't want to. So if he knew her from her past, he knows that. So he knows if she doesn't want to, she says no. It doesn't matter what he says. So I think it's more a gameplay of flirting for them than wearing her down. That's not a good word for me.
Yeah, I actually don't see it as wearing him down, and I think that he would have eventually stopped if she just clearly showed that she was absolutely never going to do it. I think that he could get some signs from her that he could tell that she was receptive, that she was still receptive, but that he hadn't given her quite what she needs. And that's what he was doing, was he was just trying a variety of things until he hit what he needed, and he eventually got it.
And maybe it's looking at a 2004 episode from a 2021 lens where, we really say no means no. And so viewing it from that way, makes a difference.
Hey, John.